Hey, everybody. Welcome to Beat the Banks from Beacon. Should probably get some better, probably should get a different banner for that. Um, well, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk a little bit about we're going to talk about interoperability for sure. What I do want to talk about real quick is something that I have a post about on my Twitter, on my personal tweeters. So I'm going to start with that. So I almost got scammed today. Shout out to Luca from Enzyme, who is unfortunately the target of this, and since has confirmed that he was hacked. So the point of this is just to let people know that they need to be very, very careful. If you're in a position like myself, I do. Besides being a founder and doing all the fulfillment, I also am the head of BD. So I do go to a lot of events. I meet a lot of fantastic people. If you happen to be BD or partnerships and you're watching the stream and you believe in DeFi education, please reach out. Would love to talk about how we can collab and get DeFi education integrated with your protocol. Get some eyeballs there and just help educate your community to help create the stickiest offering possible. So, unfortunately for Luca, he had his Telegram compromised. I didn't know this because I just didn't know it. But we met in Denver, and essentially reached out to me. I don't know, 3 days ago. I was like, hey, let's talk. Definitely want to, talk about finding synergies and collab opportunities. I'm like, I'm always down for that. So essentially, what happened was sent me a link in Telegram, and unfortunately so he's in a much different time zone than myself. So the I decided to choose midnight my time, which I guess he might be out in the EU, so that would have been like morning time for him. But what I ended up doing was what happened was there was an emergency that came up, unfortunately, for something happened with some behind the scenes issues with our protocol, so with our project. So I actually had to postpone, and so I rebooked for this morning. Now, what was interesting is that I didn't get a looking back at it now, I didn't get a calendar invite, um, or rather a URL on my calendar for the meeting. I was like, oh, maybe he just didn't forgot to put it in there, right? So, or maybe his booking thing was wrong. In any case, I didn't get a new link, but then there was a link that was inside the Telegram chat. And mind you, we've been talking, so um, yeah, thankfully, and this is something I definitely want to put together just for your OPSEC, your operational security. If you're in the event where you are um, opening links, do not do so, or rather, downloading attachments. Always have your browser prompt to do that. So if you click on a link and it's a file, it should pop up on your system to ask where you want to save the file. That should be bare minimum, moving forward. I would definitely recommend if you're in Telegram just for OPSEC purposes, disable direct downloading of media. You can find that in the settings on phone and on your desktop, because you definitely don't want that to be mixed around. Uh, and then I would recommend finding a browser choice type of app. I'm on Mac, so I have something that's called Velja. So basically, when I click on a link in another application, if I'm not in a web browser, it'll actually ask me what web browser I want to open it into, and there's 3 choices generally for that. So uh, Velja does that for a variety of links. I definitely recommend. That's from I'm going to butcher his name. I apologize. Cindersaurus. Uh, he makes quite a few other pieces of software, but Velja or Velya, if that's the correct name. There's also a Chrome extension. If you use Chrome, definitely consider doing that. So when you're when you're opening up the link, it'll actually prompt you which browser you want to use. I don't use Chrome unless I have to. So that no, just for any reason, I'm just trying to stay as platform agnostic as possible. But um, there are just some other browsers because in my opinion, Chrome's a big memory hog. Blah blah blah. Anyway, if you know me, and you know I have 5 browsers open with 25, 30 tabs each. So I'm always looking for the best way to not have that, but it is what it is when you're in my position. So, other thing I'd recommend is copy and paste the link to the browser that you do want to use. That is what saved me here because um, when I copied and pasted the link, it actually showed a link that was like uk02webzoom.us, which absolutely is not a legitimate link. It would be something .zoom.us or .zoom.co. But having it like this, that absolutely was not. So I actually got tricked on seeing the link in my Telegram because that wasn't the link. It was like taking, underlining this link here and then adding a link for it. It did that, and it did that in Telegram. So L for that, right? Anyway, click the link. This is what it came to. I let it sit here actually because I was like, I can't hear anything. Down here, if you look here, this was the other red flag down here in the corner, the audio video. That's not what Zoom looks like. But at the same time, I'm like, I've never seen this exploit in person, so I was curious enough about it. I went ahead and clicked on the update. Now it prompted to save something that says Zoom Audio SDK, and I'm like, no, that's not real. And as I sat here, the video for the people on these images changed. Clearly, this is propped video. Um, whoever Marissa was actually a red-haired Caucasian woman, not this Asian person here. Joel Zhao, whoever that is, didn't look anything like the person that was on the screen before then. So obviously a lot of red flags. Please, if you work in this space, be very careful. I definitely recommend if you're going to use Zoom, use your own Zoom or use something web-based like Google Meet, or you can use Teams because then nobody will talk to you. That's a joke. Yeah, and I know that there are other things out there. Actually, I almost I didn't almost, but there's somebody who booked on my Zoom and then got on and said, "Oh, it's not working for me. Google doesn't work in my country." And I'm like, strange. And then they immediately said, "Can we talk on um, WeChat?" I'm like, "Nope, nope. I only do Zoom. I only do Google Meet." And then they said, "Can we do Brave Talk?" I was like, "What? Brave browser has a talk?" And so I looked it up. I'm like, "Oh wow, they actually do." And I realized that if a scammer is willing to go to Brave Talk, what does that mean? Is that easily hackable? So now I'm just like, do I want to use Brave Talk? I don't know if I do. So if anyone from Brave is on the line, tell me first off, no one's ever told me there's a Brave Talk. You guys don't market this. Is there a reason for that? Also, is it easily hackable? Because I don't like that. I would be willing to use it, I guess, suppose. It's free up to 4 people. They got to make their money somehow, right? It's expensive to do video conferencing. So anyway, if anybody has any thoughts, I know there's a protocol there called Huddle that's doing decentralized video calls on Arbitrum. Have been in DMs talking to them, curious about their product. But we need to find a good way to solve this. The other thing I put in my tweet that I definitely think if you're looking for that is to make sure that you take Zoom calls or any of those types of calls on a non-admin user profile. And what that means is, if you're on a profile where if you click something, it doesn't pop up with this requires administrator privileges and stuff like that, then that's fine. But if you're on a profile that has admin or root user access, then you definitely don't want to do that on a Zoom call, or where they'll be pushing an attachment to you, and if you happen to click it, they actually can take over your computer with whatever's in the payload. You don't want to be in that situation. So anyway, yeah, if you could if you could like and retweet and just send anybody that you know about this. We need to let more people know that uh, unfortunately this is out there, and that's the one thing we talk about specifically at Beacon is, bad actors prey on both the unprepared and the uneducated. So don't be either of those. And yeah, happy I didn't fall for that. I know some people who have, and it's sad to hear. And unfortunately, it looks like that a lot of these scammers are tied into North Korea. So um, I'm never going to be, that won't be me. I will never be contributing to the North Korean GDP. Ever. Ever. So be safe out there. Be careful. Okay, let's talk about the things I wanted to also address today. So we're talking about, always this is a free training we do every Friday at 3 p.m. And it's called Beat the Banks, right? So oftentimes this is about how decentralized finance can really kind of, you know, give you a level up in life with regards to your capital and your financial situation. So Aave is one of those protocols that we love. They're very what we call Lindy, meaning they've been in the ecosystem for a very long time. The Lindy effect means that the longer that something has been in existence, the more apt you are to trust and believe in it. That's why when you go to a town and you see, you're looking for, let's say I'm looking for a bakery. There's a bakery that says established in 1960. I mean, God, that means they're 65 years old. That must mean they have really great bread. They've been able to stay in business this long. This is good stuff, right? Uh, Interestingly enough, Aave, which is the first position I ever did when I came into DeFi in 2019. Essentially, what they do is savings and loan, right? They now have more than 56 billion in deposits. That puts them at number 42 in terms of US banks by size. Now, I don't know how many banks this is, but the fact that they're in the top 50 of all commercial banks in the US. In fact, if they were an actual just strictly commercial bank, they would be, again, this was at, what's the number now? 56. They would be above Barclays, they would be above Associated Bank, and above Raymond James and Everbank. I mean, these are all large companies. I mean, Everbank used to be the title sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, if you're an NFL fan. So this was back in May. So to think that they've risen that much in literally just a month is pretty crazy. And again, this when I say Deutsche Bank, that's the U.S. version, right? Not the actual, multinational global. That's much larger, but still, the fact that they're even in the conversation is fantastic news, and just really good brand recognition, right? They and they're doing the right things. In fact, they from a business standpoint, they've white labeled Aave into Kraken, which is to their Inc. blockchain, which is Kraken's layer 2. They'll be doing white labeled loans there. They're going to be expanding to their first ever non-EVM ecosystem, which is Aptos. That's coming soon. So if you're a fan of Aptos, you will have Aave there soon. Really love to see this interoperability, and that's kind of the title of today's talk. Is just how awesome it is that we have interoperable um, just ways to earn money. So when people, and I'm just going to keep this fairly light, right? When people ask about, what can I do in decentralized finance, a lot of it is liquidity provision, staking, but also with lending AMMs, supplying and borrowing against your money. And what's great about that at a place like Aave is I can go to Aave. Let me pull up Aave itself. Just aave.com. It'll pull up app.aave.com once I open the app. This is the OP market. We can just go straight to, let's go to base. All Yeah. So here on Base is their layer 2 blockchain from Coinbase. There's a new incentives campaign on the base market, which is great. So in addition to, let's find out. It looks like it's just this stuff. There's a merit program. All right, let me go back to where I was. Interesting. They have a bridge now? Oh, that's the official bridge. My bad. Anyway, if I go to markets, what's interesting is they have this specific one for supplying. And this is the key. You have the ability to supply your assets and borrow. And at its core, when I'm talking about what is yield farming, what is ROI farming, it's the ability for you as a holder of digital assets or crypto assets to come and supply it to a protocol. You're leasing your capital to a protocol, and they're giving you an incentivized yield for holding it there. And this is a much better rate than you'll ever get at your bank. Even the best money market available. Uh, that's your bank. It depends on where your bank is, right? 5.38 is not bad. I think it's actually pretty good. This is at Aave. This is like I said, 60 million in deposits, right? 60 million, 60 billion. 60 billion, $56 billion in deposits, which is ginormous. It's kind of crazy that for these smaller banks, I mean, I've heard of Umpqua, I've heard of Old National Bank, I've heard of Pinnacle. Pinnacle is actually here in the Midwest where I'm from. Aave is bigger than them. So it's crazy. But I can come in and I can, deposit for and get 5% of my money plus an extra 1%. I'm trying to hover on this. It says there's a new incentives campaign. Maybe this is the incentives campaign. Who knows? In any case, I'm just supplying. It's being used on the back end for people to borrow and take loans on. You also can take take a loan out against your collateral. So if you had some ETH earning 2% while it sits there, which is great, plus an additional 1.75, you can then go and borrow some USDC at 6.71%, and then take that money. And I think that's like an 80. I think max loan to value, I think, is 90%. I'd have to double check. Always don't trust verify. Always go and verify yourself. Sorry, max LTV is 75%. So if I had $1,000, I can borrow $750. I'd have to pay borrow info. 6.71 is variable, meaning it's algorithmically based. And essentially, you can take that $750 and then place it in other protocols to earn more to pay down that loan. That's essentially what the idea is. You can make your loan practically self-paying at that point because you can set up with profits. You can easily do that through a couple of different protocols that have automations for stuff like that. But that's the beautiful thing about having a loan like this is that you don't have to stand in a line at the bank. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to talk to a loan officer. There's no credit check. You have the collateral. You can take a loan out against it and do what you like with it. Earn more profit. That's the beauty of all this. And that's frankly just at the core of what we're doing, right? Because people are wondering about, savings and loan through AMMs. There's also decentralized exchanges where you can swap between two assets. If you provide liquidity there, you're actually going to be earning off the activity when you swap between the two assets. So there's multiple what we call picks and shovels that you can use this for. So that's the very basic part of Aave. So nearly 60 billion in deposits. That's amazing. There are some other places you can go. So I'm going to talk about that real quick. I really enjoy Morpho. Morpho is a really great protocol. They're on multiple chains now. They started off on ETH mainnet, but then they went to Base, and now they're on Polygon, Unichain, Katana, and Arbitrum. So they, again, like what we were talking about, and this one I just posted to our mastermind, Apostro Resolve, my goodness, 25%. Resolve is a delta neutral stablecoin, meaning that when you mint this, it goes towards different strategies to keep it delta neutral. But depositing in here, and what you're doing here is you're depositing the supply asset, and then they're taking your collateral, much like a bank, and they're rehypothecating your capital out into the world through various strategies. Now, those come back to you in the form of yield. In fact, what's great about this is that you're actually earning 20x points on Resolve's current points farming system. This leads to airdrops down the line. That's frankly free money for you. Resolve is part of this as well with the Clear Star. That's at 10%, but at 25%, I think that's a really great gainer. This one does have a performance fee, actually. That's interesting. So yeah, 25%, and basically you're just providing collateral. You're providing collateral to be loaned out against these other things. You're being paid on your money for that. So it's a beautiful thing to get that much return on your money. Currently, there's 135,000 USR that's in here. That can easily be bumped higher. The EUSD pool, this is from Reserve, one of our friends in the space, 5 million here. And this is Reserve is a company that has baskets of stable assets. So for people who are in underserved, unbanked communities that are looking for digital assets that are anti-fragile and censorship resistant, and don't have to worry about the hyperinflation of their local economy, that's where that type of stuff goes well. 12%, that's fantastic. But I do like the idea of Resolve with there's a small performance fee, 2.86%. That's fine. Because they have to make some money. They have some exposure here, right? They're the ones making the markets for all this type of stuff. So that's a really juicy pool there at 25%. Now, the beauty of all of these is you can see some of these, like this USD, that's 15%, but the net APY is around 10, is that your collateral is being used in all of these different places, which actually is super interesting. Mostly in this RLP USDC, but there's also some other places where they may allocate based on the money that's in the vault. You're just providing the money, and you're just making the return based off of that. So it's not bad. It's not bad. That's way better than what you're gonna get at your bank. My savings account, love my savings account, rather love my credit union, but they're only giving me 0.025%. If I want to get 0.05% or 0.5%, I have to do more than $1 million in deposit. So, but what's great about this is that I'm in a situation where I get direct access to all this without needing to go through all the hoops and all the middlemen that are there. I'm literally at the ground floor doing this. If you're on Coinbase.com and you take out a loan on your Bitcoin, it uses Morpho on the back end. That is that there's a couple of assets that your money is being used for things like that. So that's a beautiful thing. You are your own bank in Web3. So you have the ability to come in and check these out. So a lot of these are cross-chain vaults, meaning a lot of the rehypothecation actually in the background is happening across multiple blockchains. So that's where the interoperability has really come into DeFi and really made it robust. We didn't have this a year ago, guys. Just so you know, these 4626 cross-chain vaults were a glimmer in the eye. I'm sure that it was being tested and all that type of stuff, but all this cross-chain yield that's happening on places like Morpho, on another fantastic protocol like Euler, you're seeing decent rates just for supplying. Let's go to Avalanche specifically for Euler. My goodness, high utilization for Elixir USD, 53% is nutsoid, with more than 4 million in supply. Where'd it go? Looks like that just dropped. That's crazy. Well, now you know it's all in real time. But if you didn't want to have to worry about that, and the reason is because the utilization is so high. And what that means is, from a supply standpoint, you're supplying. The more utilized that vault becomes, the rate for supply is actually higher. It's actually on this curve. It's fairly flat. Then once it gets past, I think 80 to 85%, it's called the kink. And once you get past that kink rate, then you start the rate goes parabolic, because at that point you're in the I'm not going to call it the danger, but the idea that the vault could be 100% borrowed based off of supply. What does that mean for you? For you as a supplier, that's good because you're getting really good rates on your money. The negative about that is if you have to remove your money, you can't, because it's 100% borrowed. So there's that. So you kind of have to have the right mindset come into this. If you're good with the idea that your money could be locked up there for a little bit, I wouldn't say this stays this way, but as you can see, as it comes down lower, the rate actually drops quite a bit. So here at AVAX, there's only 33%. It's at 1.03% for supply APY. Looks like we don't have to think. Oh, this one's at 6.69, but it's yeah, a little bit different in terms of UR's not quite where that is. But anyway, what's great about this is decentralized. This is permissionless because these are all created by third parties. It's up to you to do your due diligence about these specific groups because they have to be vetted to be on Euler, to be quite honest. So I'm fine with trusting their what's going on here, because Euler as a group has been very good about security for that specifically. But looking at some of these, and again, these are stable coins. These are dollar equivalents. The SAV USD. I'm trying to remember who is the company behind Save USD. It's escaping me right now, but hey, Jason, good to see you. But what we're looking at here is specifically just the different ideas you can have for, and there's 15 million in this, and it's not totally, well, the exposure is not being shown, right? So I would probably go for one of these other pools personally. Some of these are getting higher. This Elixir one at 8, it was 50. Okay, this is the one that was 54. Someone clearly took their money out, or someone paid back a borrow. There are different leverage plays and different looping plays, as we call them. That's more of an intermediate advanced topic specifically, but you can get much higher rates than that based on just applying leverage. But yeah, 26% on USDT and 22.5% on USDC. That's on your money. Of course, it's 100% borrowed right now. But even here, it's not 100% borrowed. You're way up the kink right there for UR. At 26%, it's great for USDT. And it's fairly easy to get into USDT. All you have to do is just swap for it. You can use multiple things. We always recommend DeFi Llama for our swaps. It's just the way to do it, in my opinion, because it aggregates the aggregators. And we talked about this. Talked about that on this call multiple times. So I did want to highlight one more thing before we head home. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comments. Feel free to please like, retweet, subscribe, follow, all that great stuff. I did want to segue into our free group. That's a lot of where you can come here for absolutely free and learn more about what we do. That's at school.com/beacon. Let me get the banner up there. And we do have some content for free, but the one thing I definitely want to talk about is our Beacon Challenge. Right now, earn your first dollar in DeFi within 48 hours, beacondefi.io/challenge. And you'll get 6 months of support. You get to be on a call with me. Oops. We do our town hall calls every Friday. Hit the wrong button. There we go. This is join the many others who have come here to learn more about what's going on. Do check out the Start Here post. You'll get a great message from myself and our co-founder Andrew, and learn more about our paths. All leads to our Beacon Mastermind. Hello to our Beacon Mastermind, our Beacon founding Mastermind members as well. Without you guys, none of this is possible. So much love to you guys. And we have this. We do have this training for free to the community every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. So tell your friends if you have anyone in your circle who is crypto curious, wondering about more things they can do with their money. That's why DeFi is here. And ultimately, you can do this with literally nothing. You can do it with $5 if you want. You can go to. We always recommend Coinbase as the place to bring your money down into DeFi, and you can check out our Beacon Challenge specifically for that. But yeah, getting your money down, getting into pools to earn your first dollar, it's a really great feeling. And what's great about that, like I said, there's no minimums or anything like that, so you're really just earning on your money, and that's the key. But what I did want to talk about is every Wednesday we have our TVL podcast, as you guys know. That's 1 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. We have really great groups that are coming in. We also have a Twitter space now that we're doing publicly every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's on air with Beacon. So check us out on that as well. I needed to actually put that in a calendar here. I will do that after this show today. But we featured Amana DeFi on our call. Rich, the CEO from there, and what I specifically loved about having him on the show is that at their website, which is amanadefi.com, and if you do !X, that just tells you that the referral came from the traffic referral came from Twitter. Pardon me. They have this calculator here it's fantastic. So let's say that you only had $1,000. You can kind of get a breakdown of how much you would make in a year if this rate stayed at 16%, right? Equities probably in there, you'll earn that. Then that takes some skill for equities. Treasuries, depending on where we're at with the country, and the debt, about $3. And then savings, 1 or 2%. And treasuries would be a great play if we were in a bear market, but we're not, guys. We're in a raging bull market, right? We're at all-time highs for Bitcoin. Ethereum is rearing its head. You want to be on the right side of earning that generational wealth that we're talking about. So, yes, 16% you may think is low, but it's higher than all of this. And this savings is like a money market account. We're going to need 25K anyway in most cases. So all you need to do is click on start earning once you've checked this out. And we ran through this on the show on Wednesday. The one that we actually featured this on our town hall call for any of our challenge listeners. You do get access to that call. That's at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. We went into this specific pool. This is the YUSD on Aegis. This was featured in our Beacon Spotlight as one of my picks of the week. What I love about this, and let me disconnect my wallet. There you go. So you can see what it looks like before you invest. So Amana is a cross-chain vault protocol and liquidity platform on Zeta Chain. Zeta Chain is a layer 1 that is it's the way I like to describe it, it's like its own subway system. The difference is that when your transactions on one of the subway trains that are running on them, it can go to multiple ecosystems. It can go to Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, and Zeta Chain is the rails that these chains are running on. So they do it through smart contracts, which is fantastic. The ability to easily, as a developer, deploy to multiple different vaults. And we talked to Rich, the CEO of the founder of Amana, about that. Just having that potential and working with the team has been really good for them. So that's amazing. So looking at this specific position, this is for Aegis, which is a platform on the Binance or BNB Smart Chain, and this is for their YUSD yield-bearing stablecoin. What I love about this, and this is what I think is fantastic, is not only do they have all of this information. Let me hop back out. They have all the information that you need for this here. And shout out to the team at Amana. This is fantastic. You get a risk warning. So A means in green, that's that visual signal that it's safe. They vetted this. They have it's a low protocol and slippage risk. Risk scores are based on volatility, smart contract odds, and liquidity depth. TVL is for the vault here on Amana. What I did mention in feedback was to get the actual underlying vault so that you have an idea, because the amount of money in this Aegis vault is not 11K or 12K. It's much deeper than that. I think that's a good visual cue for people to know moving forward. This APY is the 7-day APY, and it's the estimated yearly return with compounding. To my knowledge, this is not an auto compounding position. You'll have to manually compound, which has its advantages, right? Because if you are manually compounding, you'll always outperform a system that automatically compounds for you. So if you would prefer to compound and reinvest the funds into the position yourself, you're more than welcome to. There are also other ways to do it using automated positions, but you'll have to pay a fee for that. Like we just saw in Morpho, there's a performance fee, there's a management fee for stuff like that. Here you get to do this yourself. But what's great is you have this great graph here that shows exactly what's going on, and it tells you exactly what's going on. Oh, it does auto compound. It auto compounds lenders tokens on Aegis. So maybe this says auto compound. Okay. Anyway, this is the part that I really loved. It tells you exactly what the flow of the deposit's going to be. You're going to select the token that you need and the amount you want to deposit. You're going to confirm that deposit, and then there's going to be a cross-chain transfer and investment of funds. Again, thanks to the Zeta Chain infrastructure, you can invest on this from any of these blockchains. From any of these blockchains, you can bring in funds that are available. It'll automatically bring them into the vault from there, this is interoperability at its peak. This is exactly what you're looking for in a really good position. And this is a great position to start with, to be quite honest with you. We start everybody off in our program on Arbitrum 1 because it's a great layer 2. It's free to send ETH and USDC to from Coinbase, which is our preferred CEX partner. And from there, you'll be able to get some YUSD. We actually, let's do it. Let's do it. But one thing I did want to put out, besides we talked about the historical APY, this is why I love this position and why every protocol that has vaults in this space needs to take note, because you need to make this stuff easy for beginners to understand. Everything that I've shown you about this protocol should hopefully be fairly easy and straightforward for beginners to understand. If you need more background to learn more about what most of this stuff means, please check us out at TVL. Happy to walk you through that with our content. But this wonderful stuff it'll tell you what happens to my deposit. It also says you can harvest your yield when you want. And then information, this tells you exactly what the position is about. This by far is the best implementation I've seen in DeFi on something like this. So kudos to Amana. This is exactly what you're looking for. This is why I'm bullish on this team and bullish on this protocol, because they're giving you the exact information that you need. Now, this does not come without risks. Let's please address those really quickly as something, because we're educating people, right? There is risks with this. This is a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. It does have exposure to Bitcoin. There is a chance that this coin could lose its peg. That is a risk that you have with every single currency on the planet, by the way. There's no such thing as a risk-free investment. There's no such thing as a free lunch, as we like to say, right? So keep that in mind. This is still investing. There could still be some issues that are out of everyone's control. They're called black swan events, but again, there's other things that can really cut into the risk here. Now, you also have what's called smart contract risk. The smart contract could be in trouble in some way. They find an exploit, further on down the road. Now, Amana does have an audit firm that's audited them, but sometimes the problems can go deeper than that. You have what's called counterparty risk. So if something were to happen to Binance and BSC chain, BNB chain, or to Aegis itself, something happens and Aegis gets exploited and suddenly they can no longer operate. That is counterparty risk. That's something that you also have to keep in mind when you're using an optimized position like this, is that your underlying assets do have that counterparty and smart contract risk. But the convenience of all of this, the ease of how it works, and you are going to earn Aegis points just by getting to this position, is like I said, I love the way they have this set up. So kudos to the team. Really appreciate what they've put into this. So let's go ahead and get started on how to get into this. So what we'll do is we'll use our crypto wallet. You can use a smart wallet if you want to use a Mana. We like using a crypto wallet just because you have more control. Obviously, with a smart wallet, you can use Google. You can use a throwaway Gmail account. That's good for that to help to have a separate wallet for using this. You would just fund that wallet, send funds to it, and then it's isolated. It's just for this protocol, which for some people, especially if you're very security conscious and you're just trying this out, something you may want to do. I'm gonna go and connect with our Rabby wallet because that's Rabby is the wallet that we recommend to all of our new users. Overall, it's we just like it better. MetaMask was the recommendation for a long time. Rabby, which is from the DBank team, it is built on top of MetaMask code. There's better, a lot of better quality of life improvements. For example, I don't have to worry about adding anything Zeta Chain or Amana to my wallet. It's already built in. That's all updated very regularly, so that part's good. From a quality of life standpoint, from an ease of use standpoint, especially if you're a new user in the space, but you want to have a little bit more control over what's going on, Rabby by far is the best. Okay, so I've connected my wallet. And what I need to do is I need to select the token and amount that I want to deposit. So I'm going to go from Arbitrum 1. And as you can see here, I'm investing from any chain. I have options. If I had USDT on Zeta Chain, I've never bridged to Zeta Chain, so I don't have that on there. But I do have, things on Ethereum. This is on the Course wallet, so there's stuff on Base, Polygon, BNB Smart Chain, Avalanche, Arbitrum 1, and then because Solana is not EVM compatible, I'd have to connect my Phantom or my Soulflare or my Backpack wallet separately, which is fine. I'm not going to do that here though. We'll go with this ETH. Yeah. So what I'll do is what I like to do is I click max, and then I kind of scale down from there, right? Because I don't. Oh, the minimum here. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. The minimum is 0.0015, which is roughly about $4 at current rate. So understand that you need to have a little bit of money to do that. Now, because we're just kind of checking this out, let's go half of that. So we'll just do 0.025. So it's gonna be about $9. That's fine. There's a little bit of swap slippage that can happen, and basically slippage is just the difference. It's a tolerance. So when you are quoted a price for you're swapping your assets, the difference between that and what you actually get. There's a tolerance percentage. In this case, it's 0.37. If you have your tolerance set so it's like 0.1%, this will fail because you want to get as close to 1-to-1. But just understand that due to the nature of the market, I mean, I generally work within 0.5 to 1% anyway, so I'm fine with this. This is going to be the output amount that we're going to receive in YUSD for putting in some ETH here. My APY after my deposit is 15.99%. Minimum receive is going to be $9.04. And that, again, is based on the slippage that's been quoted here. If I click on invest, it's going to stay on this page to monitor progress across all networks. It's going to confirm the deposit. What you don't see right now is my Rabby wallet. And there's no easy way for me to do this, unfortunately. Let me see. Yeah, we'll do it this way, actually. I'll just share this window for now. There we go. So this is what my wallet pops up when I'm going through the actual deposit, right? And this is inside of Rabby. We have our simulation results. Looks like it's going to be fine. We're on the Arbitrum chain, interact with the contract. One thing we always recommend is you check out this contract. You want to make sure. I've never interacted with this contract, but the deployed time is more than 7 days. If it's less than that, that means they've made a recent change, because once you deploy a smart contract, you cannot change it. So these are things that you have to kind of do some research on. So in the event that, for example, I was using Jumper, which is one of our favorite cross-chain swaps, I came upon a swap to go between two blockchains, and it showed that the deployed time was 3 days, and I was trying to figure out, well, why would that be? Because I hadn't heard anything, so I stopped it because I wasn't sure about that. I used a different bridge because I was kind of in a time crunch, and I wanted to make sure that I could get to it. So anyway, you just want to make sure the deployed time, because that and normally when this is whitelisted, it knows it. It'll actually say that the name of the protocol that it's going to. Something to consider. You see the operation of what's being done from a smart contract standpoint, and this is the part that you need. That the other parts that we look at now. This is for gas in terms of how much you're willing to pay to have the transaction uh, finalized. Normally, when you have transactions in what's called a block, because blockchains are made up of blocks, a block is a ledger, right? They have lists of different transactions. And if you normal will place it somewhere, I guess, in the middle towards the bottom, it all happens very quickly. But if you want your transaction to be validated and finalized at the top, you pay more in gas. That's how it works. So if you want higher in the stack to be looked at and finalized, brought to consensus, then click on instant. But in general, you don't need to pay for that, because it's all going to get done quickly anyway. Um, the one thing that's the game changer for Rabby is this: they have what's called a gas account, and the gas account is basically a way to have a, I guess, a savings account, if you want to call it that. But I can pay for any transaction that's linked to this Rabby wallet using my gas account, and it's just, I fill it up with $10, and you can use this. And it's stable coins. It's just USDC or USDT, and then you're paying for your transactions in stablecoin. That is the game changer. Coinbase. This is the game changer. OKX. When people start doing this and it makes it easy, yeah, I don't need to worry about having ETH because I can just pay in stablecoins. And this works for any address or account that is hooked into the Rabby wallet I'm using. So if I have like 4 or 5 different wallet addresses from the same seed phrase, if I switch to any of them, they can all use this one gas account. If I have a hardware wallet that's connected to this, then it can also use, and all their addresses can all use this same gas account, which is great. That's the game changer. Until I see the base app or some of these others using it, not even, well, MetaMask doesn't have it for sure, but any of these other wallets, until they have it, there is one and I'll shout out the Control Team, which is the old XDeFi wallet. They have something like this. They just don't have the adoption. Then we'd recommend it. But overall, can't beat that. That's the game changer. So we'll go ahead and sign, confirm. All right, let me share screen. There we go. So we have confirmed the deposit. It's well, I guess it's still working on that now. But once that's done, then we'll do the cross-chain transfer and investment of funds. I'm assuming it's doing that now. Let's find out. Transactions. Okay, good. It went through. And this is the gas account. When I talk about the gas account, it's just an account that you can deposit. You can also withdraw from it for some reason. But as you can see, I'm paying for gas on transactions, just using what I have here. And you can fill it up with as much as you want. 10, 100, 10's the minimum. But you just have to deposit it from a supported blockchain. And this is why Rabby is great. That's why we use it. So even if you put $50 in to cover anything, if you go to ETH mainnet, you don't have to worry about paying with ETH. You can just pay with USD. You can just pay with stables, and that's such a game changer. Now I'm guessing this is done. So if I just click on invest, well, I just did that. Let's refresh the page. I did a lot of talking, and sometimes when you talk, when you take some time, it may take away from that. Let's double check and see if that had done. Because I did send. Yeah, I did. So now I just need to wait for it to get here, I suppose. Hmm. Yay, demos. Okay, so it's received. Now we're just waiting for this cross-chain transfer investment of funds, final confirmation issue of shares, which hasn't happened. So I have to talk to the team about that because we did that. Yeah, because I did $9 worth, right? We take your deposit and swap from ETH on ARB. We added the Aegis and earn yield for you. Verify the pool here. All right, well, we can do that just to verify that we've received it. Actually, this is just for the pool, right? Token transfers. Is this me? No. Let's look again. All right, so we received. They received the ARB, the 0.025 ETH 3 minutes ago from the deposit and call. I guess we'll have to find out. I'm very curious now. What I can do to verify that is I can just click on this transaction hash. It'll open up an RB scan, and it'll show, what's happened here. There's that 0.025 ETH or however much I sent over there. Let me just make sure. So if I open wallet back up, we'll go to Arbitrum. I don't have anything here. Well, that's kind of what happened when I took too long, eh? Am I in a situation where I've like completely yeeted? I don't think so. Let me check out the dashboard here. You'll do a hard reset, Control Shift R, or Command Shift R if you're on Mac. Earn. Oh, this is lovely. uh, Jason, actually, this actually is a space. The hard part is that when you're on Spaces, you can't show video, so that's why doing it as a stream on Twitter is better. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to reach out to the team and find out what happened here because clearly I've already sent my ETH over because the deposit flow is select the token you want, confirm deposit, cross-chain transfer, investment of funds, and stuff. Just as a point of reference, and I don't know if it exists, but we'll find out. We'll check out our friends at Beefy. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to see if this same thing exists. BNB chain, say YUSD. Yeah, no. Actually, let's clear all of our YU. Nope. Looks like nothing for Aegis there. Let's see if there's an is Aegis listed here. Let's look at the vault address. Let's just see if there's anything that's come in recently. No, I don't see anything there. Well, token transfers maybe. This is the Zeta Chain Blockchain Explorer. That's not recently. Well, scanning new token transfers. I don't think it's there, but my worry is that it never actually has made it to BNB through the swap in. Although it's all done through a smart contract. So anyone who's curious, all of this is inside of a smart contract. So it should have just done it. But the thing is that I need the final confirmation and issue of shares, and I don't know if I got that. Well, just for science, I'm going to repeat this process. All right, we'll do it. We'll do it roughly about $7.30. I'll click invest, and this time I'm not going to get out of the page. Do the same thing we just did. I'll choose the gas account. We'll sign, confirm. And honestly, it shouldn't be that slow, Jason. Yes, it can. It can happen, but overall, ARB is one of the fastest chains that's out there. So cross-chain transfer vault to fund in progress, and I mean this should be what should happen once it gets to this final confirmation is we'll get another window from Rabby that pops up and shows exactly how to do it. But sometimes this can take a little bit of time because whenever you're bridging, it does take, a couple seconds. So I will reach out to the team to find out to see if that $9 actually did make it. It's taking longer than expected. Okay. But in general, this type of stuff is pretty seamless. It should be fairly seamless. Regardless of the speed, I'm really pleased with the amount of information that's here. So in the event that something's happening, you're not missing out on what's going on. Now, for whatever reason, we lost our progress here when we refresh the page. That's unfortunate, but hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit more once it goes through. So this is taking longer than expected. So sometimes demos are like that. Oh, that failed. Your deposit has been failed. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. So it did revert. So we should still have that money. But I went ahead and took a screenshot anyway. All right. Well, that was unfortunate. Nope, 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 nope. Okay, so it did return that to us, but I do have that $9. It's just sitting out there in limbo. Hopefully, we'll find out where that is, but we'll find out. So, in any case, just wanted to kind of run you through how something like this should go cross chain. There is, I guess, a couple of issues that can show up there, but overall, should be fairly straightforward. As you all know, I'm a big fan of Beefy. You can generally with Beefy just do 2 clicks and you've. The joke is click a button, win a house, and in general, that normally does happen, except for the winning the house part. Wow, look at these puppies. Wow, CB Litecoin and CBBTC for 51 is. Huh. Anyway, I can hear myself through some other headphones somewhere. Yeah, these are pretty crazy. What's great about this is that you can just come in on a Beefy pool and literally just. So, oh, never mind. I have to hide. I have to do that. So, in most cases, you can swap in. So, for example, we were using Arbitrum as our example. ARBUSDC is good stuff right now. 50509. I can literally just come in with this ETH that I have here. I'll choose 25%. Let's do 50%. And as you can see, it's going to take care of all that for me. It's going to swap it through Kyber Swap. There's a 1% slippage. There's a ZAP fee of 0.05%, which is fine because I literally can just come in and it'll take care of all that for me. And that's the beauty of automation today in DeFi, right? Switch my network to Arbitrum deposit. Then we have our Rabby wallet notification. Look, that for those curious, it looks exactly like it looked with the other one that we saw. We will just make sure that we're good there. I'll choose the gas account to pay for gas, which in this case is 5 cents. Let me go ahead and show that as well. Swapping in ETH, taking care of all that. We'll get the RCOW uni tokens. This is concentrated liquidity. And this is a concentrated liquidity position that's going to be auto compounded and auto rebalance. So this is truly hands off. We just sit back and monitor. Interact contract, you see it's from Beefy, it's whitelisted, 596 in terms of how long it's been out there. And then we'll just choose our gas account to pay for the gas. So we'll click sign, confirm to use normal gas there. Why is the transaction failing, bro? Oh, it's outside the calm zone. Okay, because it's a little too volatile right now. This is ARB against USDC.ETH. If this is ARB ETH, probably a little bit calmer. Let's try again. And what's great is that you can just come back and just do this fairly quickly, right? Now, when it says outside the calm zone, because all of this is being done through a smart contract, if the slippage difference is too high, like above 1%, because of just a lot of information that's coming through, a lot of swaps and trades, it needs to be in a quote unquote calm zone in order to complete the, there we go. See, as you can see, we've successfully zapped into the vault. Literally less than a minute. I have a position here. I can come back. I can go to two ways I can do it. I can just refresh this page. And it's still too new. Normally you'd have all that pop up and you just go to dashboard. And then we can go down to right here. Still a little too new to get any data in, but once it does, you can track it like you can track all this other stuff that's here in the course wallet, okay? And that's the beauty of Beefy. 2 clicks and we're in. But yeah, I'll get in touch with the team that I'm in. I feel bad because I'm really bullish on this one. So it should be one of those things that, you know, comes in. But again, when you're going cross chain, sometimes you run into to issues like that. So anyway, we are way over time. So just wanted to walk you guys through a couple of things. I'll do a quick recap for anybody who's joined us late. We started off, I talked about how I almost got scammed on Zoom. So have good operational security. Make sure you are safe in that respect. We then talked about Aave. Aave was the first position I ever did when I came into DeFi way back long ago, which is honestly, at this point, a long time ago. Almost 57 billion in deposits. That puts them above multiple banks, commercial and customer facing. So talked about interoperability and just how that works really well. In DeFi with Aave, you can actually supply coins, and that is actually supplying it as collateral for other people to borrow against, or you can also borrow against your own assets. That is also something you can do. And you can borrow that USDC if you park in some ETH, and then take that USDC and farm it at a place, even like Beefy, where you're earning in excess of, where are we? 509% APY, right? 0.49% daily. And that's pretty sweet. We also talked about a couple different protocols besides Aave that are great. Morpho is fantastic if you use Coinbase loans on Coinbase.com. Morpho is the back end. So what's great about that is that you can actually come down to the base blockchain and access these pools yourself without having to go through Coinbase.com. You're your own bank, your keys, your crypto, self-custody, for the win, profit, profit, profit. Euler is another great example of another protocol. Oh, it went back up to 46%. People are getting back in. Talk a little bit about how the kink works with the rate and utilization, and moving on from there. And then we looked at Amana DeFi. They were our guest on Wednesday for our podcast. You can check that out every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We also have our Twitter Spaces that's starting on air with Beacon. That's Tuesdays at 2 p.m. We'll have something else going on next Tuesday, but specifically for Amana, they're on Zeta Chain, so they have cross-chain capability. You can deposit from any blockchain. We did try to get it here into the YUSD pool. We earn 16% on any asset that you decide to swap in through their contract. You're going to be holding YUSD and earning points for Aegis, which is great. YUSD is a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. You can check that on the information here. What I love about Amana is that they give you a ton of information, really lay it out for you, make it very easy for you to get into some of these positions. Unfortunately, our first attempt at this did not go well. I'll talk to the team about that, but we had one where we don't know what happened to the $9 that I sent. And then through here in the deposit flow, we never got to this point. And then the second one actually failed and reverted for whatever reason back to our account on Arbitrum. So we then walk through Beefy, so I can kind of show you that yes, this stuff does work, and you can easily get into a pool, a position with 2 clicks of the mouse, and you've got a position going. So as you can see, here's our $9.97, our $9.79 position there. You can certainly check it out for a week, see if the math is mathing. If it's good, stay in. If it's not, look for a different position to look into. So that's all we have for today. And if you are interested in what we had today, please follow, like, subscribe. Check us out on our free group, school.com/beacon. Absolutely free to check out. Join us. check out our Start Here post. You want to learn more? Check out our Beacon Challenge. Join the many who've already done that, taking the challenge and are already making their first dollar in DeFi. With that said, thanks for joining us. I'm your DeFi professor, Professor Chris. And yeah, have a great weekend. Go find all the spicy good stuff out there today. And see you later. 07, beacons up, banks down. Keep beating those banks, guys. We'll see you next week.